Purchase this book for only $18.95, plus shipping and handling. Join American writers Theodore Roosevelt tonight at 8 Eastern on C-SPAN.
Now, Secretary of State Colin Powell. Tuesday at the State Department, he addressed graduates of the Seeds of Peace International Camp for Conflict Resolution. The event also included presentations by teenagers from the Middle East, the Balkans, and Cyprus on their efforts to work for peace. It's an hour and 25 minutes.
All right, Jamal. Let's go. Let's give the Secretary the Seeds of Peace welcome. You don't need to, unless you know the words. They're very easy words.
I am a seed of peace, a seed of peace, a seed of peace.
Mr. Secretary, you have in front of you 165 young adults from conflict regions throughout the world. Israelis, Palestinians, Egyptians, Jordanians, Qataris, Tunisians from the Middle East. From Kosovo, Albanians and Serbs, together having just spent 3.5 weeks living under the same roof, or I should say the same tent, having camped together and having spent a wonderful 3.5 weeks together, a striking exception to the Serbs and Albanians in Kosovo who are separated by American troops. Macedonians, Albanians and Macedonians, Greeks and Turks, and Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots, Yugoslavs and Americans. I hope I haven't left anybody out. I don't think I have. They've just spent 3.5 weeks together as the second group of almost 400 youngsters in the Seeds of Peace program. They have learned to disagree. Some of them have learned to actually like each other. They have learned how to make peace with each other, which is what Seeds of Peace is all about. It's an honor and a privilege to ask 3 of them to deliver short remarks before you respond, Mr. Secretary. If I could welcome from the Israeli delegation, an Arab or Palestinian Israeli, Nardeen.
Hello, my name is Nardeen Sbait. I'm a 16-year-old Arab Palestinian Israeli, and I'm a seed of peace. When I was first asked to give a speech here in the State Department, I was really excited, but I didn't know where to start. But after a couple of days, I knew what I was going to say. I'm going to share with you an accident that happened in the camp. As we all know, a few days ago, there was a bombing back home in Israel, in Jerusalem, and a lot of people were injured and killed. The news spread around camp, and emotions started running. All of us from the Israeli delegation were really excited, and we didn't know what to do. And me as a person, I almost started losing hope of peace. I mean, I was there in that camp wanting to make peace and wanting to communicate with the other side. But back home, things were getting worse and worse. But when I saw my Jew friends sitting around with me, the Arab Israeli Palestinian, and we were grieving together and sharing emotions without any of us blaming the other side, I then knew coexistence did work out. And let me tell you something about coexistence. It's not that easy, and it's really a hard job, and we all know it. But as you see, here we are sitting together with the enemy and talking with him, understanding him and understanding his point of view, and the ability to listen to him has grown and grown through coexistence. And so what difference is in coexistences and seeds of peace is that we actually make friendships before we coexist. We laugh together, we cry, we dance, we sing, and we do everything possible to make a friendship and then start understanding the other side. A lot of people ask me why I ended up in Seeds of Peace. My answer is that I believe in us being all equal as human beings. And I think back home, people are starting to forget that. And that's why innocent people are getting killed each and every day from the both sides. Whether it's a Palestinian or whether it's an Israeli, we're all humans. Whether it's a woman or a man or a child, we're all human. We shouldn't forget that. And I consider myself as a messenger of peace, because Seeds of Peace has taught me a lot about peace and about understanding the other side. And I want to share this experience with everyone back home, because we need to understand and we need to get it into our minds that peace is the way, and there's no other solution other than peace. It's really hard to explain how life in camp is, because you have to be there to experience it. But let me tell you that it's a feeling of love, of being secure, of being safe and loved. And it's a feeling that every way you turn, you're going to meet a new friend. As John always says, make one new friend, which I did. A wise man once said, out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrong doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Seeds of Peace is that field for me. Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, there are now 22 countries that officially belong to Seeds of Peace. Every nation, every government sends adult delegation leaders with their youngsters to accompany them, and we have a separate program for them. If I may ask all of them to stand, please, and be recognized. We're very proud of the role that they play. And if I may introduce the people in the front, and I'll just introduce them all quickly and then have your applause. Chris Covey is the leader of our Balkans program. Barbara Zasloff, who is the leader of our delegation leader program. Tim Wilson, who is director of the camp. Three youngsters you've met. You've meet in a minute. Bobby Gottschalk. Lindsay Miller, and you all know Dr. Aaron Miller and Fred Gould, who is co-chair of the Board of Directors. From the Israeli delegation, it's a pleasure to welcome Idan.
Hello, dear Mr. Secretary, I'm Idan. I'm 17 years old. I'm a Jewish Israeli from Haifa, and this is my second time in camp. I want to say to all of you that although camp is situated in a really, really beautiful place in Man, we still got some problems, as you all know. Got some bugs, empty water cans, and baseball stuff. During camp, we faced with a little bit obstacles, and I want to thank all of the Seeds of Peace staff that help us to overcome most of them. Another thing is the Seeds of Peace program that enable us to speak and express our feelings without boundaries. And I think the precious thing that it was really, really important for me is the friendship that make us understand what is human being. That we all human beings. We all suffer from the same pain. Everyone got the same emotions. Both sides have the same dream of peace. And I want to say a few words that my team said in our team song. Please reach out your hands. Try to see some friends from different lands, and then you will understand. So please reach out your hands. I want to thank the people that because of them I'm here. I would like to thank Seeds of Peace, John, Bobby, team, all campers, counselors, PSs, I love you all. And I really, really want to thank my parents that I really love them. That encouraged me and was with me all the time. I will love you, Mom and Dad. And last but not least, I want to thank individually to my best friend from the other side. With him I spent a lot of good moments, and I think that I really had one friend, and I hope that this friendship will maintain and will be best friends. Please let me give him a gift, a symbolic one. I want to call Allah from Jordan.
That's what we need more of, Arabs and Israelis embracing one another. It's now a pleasure to introduce, from Palestine, Fadi.
Good evening. My name is Fadi Elsalameen. I'm a Palestinian from the West Bank. I live in Hebron. I'm 17 years old. Before I start talking about CG Peace, I just would like to mention a little story about my visit back home just 2 weeks ago, because I study here and I wasn't able to go home until just 2 weeks ago. The expression you get on people's faces when you get there is the sadness and anger and frustration. People have nothing to talk about but death and Ariel Sharon and work. Those are the only three things they talk about. But at the end of every conversation I talk to them about, I've lost 4 friends. One of them was a Seed of Peace. His name is Asil Asla. At the end of each conversation, they would say, hopefully this will go by. Hopefully this storm will go by. And they always would say, maybe God will make it better. I felt very selfish that I'm part of Seeds of Peace. It's an ideal world. I'm talking to Israelis. I'm treating them like human beings. They're treating me like human beings. But I went back home and none of this is existing. And I was questioning myself if I wanted to come back or not. And I remember it until today, and I will remember it for the rest of my life. My friend said, Fadi, you have a choice, but we don't have a choice. And that will make me committed to Siege Peace until the rest of my life, because I have the choice. And they think of me as a person who will not make it better for my future, but also for the people who are around me. Siege Peace is the only place in the world at this moment where Palestinians and Israelis are treating each other as human beings and listening to each other. It's not happening anywhere else in this world. The Israelis are too busy trying to convince the Americans to support them, and the Palestinians are too busy trying to convince the Arab countries to support them. And the cycle of dehumanization is expanding and expanding, not to include just the people who are in the conflict, but their neighbors. Other people are dehumanizing each other without even having anything to do with each other. This has to stop. And I don't see anything happening. The only place where I see people working for it is Siege Peace. And that's why I'm asking you, everybody, especially you, Secretary. Because we need more seeds of peace to be planted. We need more of you. I hope you will support us, and you will continue your support, not just for us, but for the people who are there too. Thank you very much.
I don't want to take up the Secretary's valuable time in giving him the kind of introduction that he deserves, because I could take up the next 30 minutes in telling you about him, about his wonderful career as National Security Advisor appointed by President Reagan, as Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, from his birthplace in the South Bronx to the pinnacle of American respect and leadership in the State Department. The most important thing that I can say about Colin Powell is that he cares about young people more than anybody who has ever occupied this position. He started and led a group called, and still does, a group called America's Promise, because he believes that the future of America is in its young people, particularly in its underprivileged young people. So there has never been a more suitable person to understand the mission and the goals of Seeds of Peace, or to speak to you, than this Secretary of State, Colin Powell.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that kind introduction, John. It's a great pleasure to be with you all this afternoon, and let me begin by congratulating you for your vision and inspiration as we have brought this program along. And let me also say it was very moving to be received by the Seeds of Peace graduating class with that anthem, that song that you sing that is so moving, so meaningful, and brings you together once again as a group of youngsters every time you sing it, dedicated to peace and dedicated to the end of war, dedicated to doing everything you can in your young power, which in due course will become adult power, to remove the causes of conflict and remove the reasons that we still see man's inhumanity against man practiced throughout the world. So I'm pleased to be with you, and I was also deeply moved by the testimony we just received from the three youngsters, and I'm sure that if time permitted, each and every one of the graduates could give a similar statement of their experience, their background, and what they have gained from this wonderful program, where youngsters brought from all over can share with one another, can share your anxieties, can share your concerns, can share what it means to be friends, can gain in that friendship, and through that friendship, prepare yourselves for the roles that you will be playing when you go back to your nations. So I welcome you all here to the Department of State this afternoon. I congratulate all 160 campers, as was noted, Egyptians, Israelis, Jordanians, Palestinians, Qataris, Tunisians, Cypriots, Greeks, Turks, Kosovars, Macedonians, Yugoslavians, Americans, all together. I also express my thanks to the other VIPs who are here, the assembled ambassadors, diplomats, colleagues, and friends of Seeds of Peace. What is happening in the Middle East today makes it even more important that you have dedicated yourself to this program, and even more important that you take this message of peace and reconciliation back to your homes. Since its inception, Seeds of Peace, and you here present and your predecessors have helped us understand that peace is possible. If only we can end the violence, if only we can break down the barriers that exist, the barriers of hatred and distrust. And sometimes as we look around the world, and especially when we look at the Middle East, we wonder if that will ever happen. I'm before you today as Secretary of State, but for most of my life, as you know, I was a soldier. A soldier who was committed to defending his nation, to preserve the peace, but who was also forced to go to war and to prepare for war. And I've seen in the last 10 or 12 years what can happen when you get those conflicts behind you. I see myself now working with nations that just 12 years ago were my most deep enemies, nations I was prepared to destroy if that was necessary. And now I see them as friends, nations that we are working with. Just today in Macedonia, we see new promise as an agreement was signed between parties in dispute, an agreement that could have been overthrown in the last couple of days by violence, but they did not let violence overtake this agreement. And the road ahead is still very, very difficult, but at least we have a step toward peace in Macedonia. So we can't give up hope. We have seen terrible situations turn for the better. We have seen promise come out of chaos. In the anthem that you sang a little while ago, you said, we stand hand in hand as we watch the bricks fall. We've learned from the past and fear not what's ahead. It's very good. It's a good emotion. It's something to take into your heart and carry with you for the rest of your lives. Commend you for your courage and your daring to believe that no matter how bad at times things can get, no matter how bad things become, a brighter future still is possible if we believe, if we dream, and if we work at it. Your experiences in Seeds of Peace give real content to what peace between peoples can really mean in practice. Seeds has equipped you with the skills and tools to listen, not preach, to teach, not lecture. Most important of all, it has shown you how to share what you have felt and what you have learned with others. Looking at all of you, it is easier for me and others of my generation to envision a Cyprus, a Middle East, and the Balkans free of conflict. To envision that a web of personal and economic ties will one day replace mistrust and misunderstanding. To envision a time where friendships such as those you have made as seeds are the norm and not the exception. Where young people of different ethnic backgrounds can grow up to be good neighbors, to be friends, to share one another, to share your dreams together and to pursue those dreams. Like each of you, the young man we heard about earlier, Usi al-Asla, was a seed of peace. He lost his life last October, but he remains an enduring symbol of hope. He embodied the seed's ideals of promoting understanding and a peaceful coexistence. He was a sensitive, caring, articulate young leader, fighting the legacy of hatred to build a brighter future for Arabs and Israelis alike. Tragically, he did not live to see the future he dreamed of. But each and every one of you will and must carry on for him, be inspired by his memory so that you will help create the future he wanted so much to be a part of, but tragically will not. Like all of you, President Bush and I believe that his vision is attainable, not just a wonderful dream, but attainable. And like you, we will keep working hard at peace. The question was raised by the young man who spoke just a moment ago as to what we can do, what can be done. What is the United States doing? We're deeply engaged in this process. We are trying to find bridges to cross the divides that have existed for so many years and have become especially severe in recent months. We're working with both sides, lending our good offices, talking to leaders of the international community, in close contact with both sides, trying to find ways that we can restore a sense of trust and confidence between the two sides, getting them to talk directly to one another with our good offices, with our assistance. I can assure you that I and my colleagues in the State Department take this charge very, very seriously, do everything we can to bring a secure environment to that troubled part of the world, and out of that secure environment begin negotiations again that can lead us to a lasting, permanent solution so these two peoples can find a way to live and share this blessed land. I need your help. I need your help as you go back home. I need your help to go back and talk to your family members and your friends. I need your help to go back and give witness to what you have learned in camp. To give witness to the reality that if you talk to one another, if you get inside each other's dreams and ambitions, you can find ways of bridging the differences. You can find ways forward. I will never give up the struggle. I will never give up the quest to find a solution for this troubled region. And I will do that because I've seen what war can do. I know what war can do. I have been in war. I do that because I do have a deep commitment to young people. I know the future that you want, the future that you need, the future that you must have. Not a future of conflict, not a future of killing one another, not a future of hating one another, but a future of loving one another, a future of friendship, a future where you can take advantage of the wonderful opportunities that the 21st century holds. And I want to assure you today that President Bush is committed to that future, as am I. I want to thank the leaders of Seeds of Peace for what they have done in bringing you together. A seed is a wonderful metaphor for what you are. People who will not be frozen out of action in a cold winter or allow the heat of summer to keep you from blossoming forth into something beautiful. And so for each and every one of you, I wish you the very, very best. I thank you for your commitment to peace, and I charge each and every one of you to take the promise that you have in your own being back to your communities, back to your families, and spread and grow and help the adults in your lives bring peace to the regions that you represent. Thank you so very much.
Fadi, maybe put them on him. Maybe he'll wear it.
I will. You put over my weapon.
If any of you have questions, if you would go to the microphones. We've only got time for 2 questions. You've got to go to the microphone, and we should keep this on the Middle East. On the Middle East, okay? Jamal, are you up there? You're over here first. Okay, go ahead. Please tell us who you are and where you're from.
Okay. My name is Fadi Dawood. I'm from Israel. I'm a Palestinian Israeli. For the last 50 years or 60 years, America has been a very strong country, have been a peacemaker, a peacekeeper, and a very powerful, as I said. Don't you think it's about time that the Palestinian people get their independence, as it's the only solution or guarantee for peace in the Middle East under the power or the help of USA? And how you see? What do you think about that?
What I would like to see is a return to negotiations so that the two sides can determine what the proper answer is for them to share this land together. And the United States has lent its good offices for many, many years to that end. And for a number of years, the last 10 years really, beginning with the Madrid conference after the Gulf War, where I was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, we saw progress. But unfortunately, last year and early into this year, that progress came to a halt with respect to those negotiations. And we saw a breakdown in security and violence breaking out. And so the challenge before us right now is to never lose sight of getting back to negotiations on the basis of the appropriate UN resolutions 242 and 338. That's a given. But before we can get back to those negotiations which lead us to that conclusion, we have to restore a sense of security so that there is confidence and people can begin sharing with one another and talking with one another and not worrying about the kind of violence we're seeing. And that remains the United States' principal objective right now, but never losing sight of the ultimate answer, which is negotiations. We believe that the plan that was put forth by Senator Mitchell and his colleagues, the Mitchell Plan, gives us a roadmap to do that. And it begins with ending the violence, the restoration of trust through confidence-building measures, and then ultimately beginning negotiations again to end up at the point that both parties believe is appropriate and proper. And that's what a negotiation is for, to see what the two sides will agree to under the auspices of, with United States help, the auspices of the United States and other organizations, but consistent with the UN resolutions that have been passed for many, many years, and provide the basis for a final solution.
I would just like to ask you.
Tell us who you are.
I'm Jamal from Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just like to know why America declared a veto in the UN against the issue of sending an international investigation inquiry to the region. I mean, this would only show people that Israel would have things that they wouldn't show the world that they're doing in the region. For example, like war crimes and genocide against Palestinians, and would also show the world that maybe America is like pro-Israeli. So why would America declare this veto against sending the international inquiry? And another thing I would like to know is what's America's position right now against Israel using ammunition and armory made in the USA that's internationally illegal, like nerve gas and radioactive heavy ammunition against innocent civilians. So what's America's position against this?
On the second question, I am not aware of any use of nerve gas on the part of the Israeli government, or the kinds of systems or weapons you suspect or suggest are illegal under international convention. With respect to the resolution, sending international observers at this time when there is still a conflict that's underway, and the two sides do not agree to the presence of international observers, I don't think is a way to move forward. And to send in, particularly under the way in which you suggested it, to go in and find out what one side is doing, doesn't make them monitors or observers. It makes them something else. And what we have suggested is that if we can get into the Mitchell peace plan and start the implementation of this peace plan. And if both sides agree that monitors would be helpful in moving this plan forward, then the United States is willing to play a role in the provision of some number of monitors. But right now, international monitors is not an idea that has been accepted by both sides. And unless you're planning to send in an international force to suppress the whole thing, which is not anything the international community is prepared to do, you have to get the acceptance of both sides, and it has to make some sense. It can't just be an observer force or investigative force that has gone in to help just one side against the other. The United States is for peace. The United States is working with both sides. I talk to both sides on a daily basis in order to try to bridge these differences. And we are trying to play the role of a facilitator, somebody who is trying to represent the interests of both sides as we try to find a way to move forward. Thank you very much, but I do have to get to another appointment. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're still on the air. We're still going. There'll be more time for questions and statements. It's now, am I right, Lindsay? I'm going to introduce you now, right? Before Aaron, right? Okay. Great pleasure to introduce Vice President of Seeds of Peace, who's in charge of governmental affairs and our diplomatic community, Lindsay Miller.
Thank you. My name is Lindsay Miller. I'm Vice President of Seeds of Peace. I want to take this opportunity again to welcome everybody here to the Department of State. Seeds of Peace has invited you here to meet these courageous youngsters and to learn about the important impact Seeds of Peace is making in their lives. Each year we come to Washington, and each year the Department of State opens its doors to us, fully aware of the importance that people-to-people diplomacy will play in achieving lasting peace. Planning for Seeds of Peace is an enormous undertaking. We never could have accomplished our goals over the years without the help of the Department of State and USAID on the one hand and the participating governments on the other. So I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge our partners in peace. The Department of State's Bureau of Near Eastern Affairs has given us invaluable support from Washington and from the region. Your help in bringing seeds together, particularly during the most difficult of times, has been invaluable. And for your briefings and receptions that you provide to our alumni, from Morocco in North Africa to Qatar in the Gulf, we cannot thank you enough. Our programs in Cyprus and the Balkans have now become well established, thanks to the support and encouragement from the Bureau of European Affairs. our embassies overseas, from USAID, Ahmed East and Fulbright, and from Novartis. Almost exactly 1 year ago, diplomats from the Bureau of South Asian Affairs were sitting in this audience. They were so moved by the testimonials of the youngsters that they asked us to consider expanding our program to India and Pakistan. Working in partnership with the South Asia Bureau, this extraordinary first program just recently concluded. And as one who receives the Seeds of Peace Confidential online listserv called SeedsNet, I can report that not only are the youngsters from India and Pakistan already staying in touch with each other via the internet, but perhaps more fascinating, they are in dialogue with their new friends from both the Middle East and the Balkans. Backing us in all our efforts is the United States Congress. Dozens of members have signed letters of support and have recently met with our Seeds on Capitol Hill. The foreign embassies and missions here in D.C. provide the essential link to the governments in the region who have welcomed the Seeds of Peace graduates in their ministries and often choose the youngsters who participate in our programs. You have chosen outstanding young representatives to be your ambassadors of peace. And you will be proud to see very soon that they will be your next generation of leaders. I would like to recognize the diplomats that have joined us here today. Please stand as I read your names, and please hold your applause until everyone is standing. And I'll try my best to pronounce your names correctly. From the Embassy of Bahrain, Ghassan Abdullah. From the Embassy of Egypt, Mohammed El Zarqani. Embassy of Israel, Ambassador David Avery, Rafi Barak, Moshe Fox, Aviv Sharon, and also we're pleased to have with us Mayor and Mrs. Mitznah from Haifa. From the Embassy of Jordan, Ambassador Marwan Moasher. From the Embassy of Kuwait, Ahmed Razouki. The Embassy of Morocco, Hassan Hami. From the PLO Mission, Saeed Hamid. Embassy of Qatar, Khalid Abel. The Embassy of Tunisia, Riyad Jaridi. The Embassy of the United Arab Emirates, Jassim El Husani, and the Embassy of Yemen, Yahya Ashukani. From the Balkans, from the Embassy of Albania, Ambassador Fatos Tarifa. From the Embassy of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Svetlana Lakic. The Embassy of Bulgaria, Ambassador Filip Dimitrov. The Embassy of Croatia, Davor Stier. Embassy of Macedonia, Dr. Goce Gorgievsky. The Embassy of Romania, Stalian Stoyan. From the Embassy of Yugoslavia, Ivan Jakovic. And there's a few more. I don't want to forget anybody. From the Embassy of Pakistan, Tariq Ali. From Austria, Melita Schubert. From Greece, Ambassador Alexos Christopoulos. From Norway, Jans Eikes and Arne Hall. From Switzerland, Benedict de Sherat. And from Turkey, Jihad Arganay. Thank you all very much. Could you please stand?
I think you should, every seed should take great pride in yourselves, because it's your presence here today that has brought together ambassadors and diplomats who otherwise might not see each other very much. Whether it's the Albanians and the Serbs, whether it's the Yugoslavs, the Croatians, the Macedonians, whether it's the Israelis, Jordanians, and Egyptians, they're all together, sitting next to each other because of your presence here today. So that's a very important contribution that you've made. A special welcome to Mayor Avram Mitznah of Haifa. He's come a long way to be with us today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to have a special mention, if he would stand, because he single-handedly has made possible the program for the Greek and Turkish youngsters who are with us in this program, Mr. James Orphanides. Jim, would you please stand? Jim is a Greek American who has generously supported the program for the Greek and Turkish delegations that are part of Seeds of Peace. It's now a pleasure to introduce an old friend of this program, a supporter of the program for many years, an official who has been involved in the peace process for more than 20 years, the senior advisor on Arab-Israeli negotiations here at the State Department, Dr. Aaron Miller.
Thank you very much. And welcome, Seeds. It's good to see you again. More on that in a minute. I just returned this morning, literally this morning, from Israel and the West Bank. And if there's any doubt whatsoever, and there had been none in my mind, about the importance of this program, then the current crisis between Israelis and Palestinians and the violence, which is now approaching its 11th month, has removed any doubt whatsoever. A sense of partnership between Israelis and Palestinians that had been so promising in the past has been undermined and shattered. And the gaps that exist between the Palestinian public and the Israeli public are larger than ever. Some people, and they're cynical, say that Israelis and Palestinians understand one another only too well. I don't believe that. They don't understand one another well enough. I deeply believe, regardless of how grim the situation is, and it is grim, that Israelis and Palestinians want something better for themselves and for their children, and that they will, together with our help and the help of others, find a way out of the current crisis. And as they rebuild these relations, and they will, over time, rebuild them, Seeds and what Seeds embodies, the principles that Seeds embodies, will prove to be a critical component of that process. First, Seeds offers what we, as diplomats and negotiators, cannot. And you've heard me on this before. Seeds offers a glimpse, however brief, of what the future between Arabs and the Israelis, between peoples in the Balkans and on Cyprus can be. And far too often diplomacy gets buried in the details and the commas and the formulations. But in the end, it depends fundamentally on peace between peoples. Second, Seeds offers you the skills, and you know them. Whether on the playing field, in conflict resolution centers, in art classes, during the talent show, Seeds offers you the skills to rebuild relationships. Diplomacy is far too much a product of arguing and not enough about listening. Third, Seeds offers hope. And I must say, other than the loss of human life in this tragic conflict over the last 11 months, the greatest casualty, the worst outcome, has been the loss of hope. It's a terrible casualty for this crisis, because without hope, there's no trust, no confidence, and no willingness to pursue a rational, negotiated solution to this conflict. There must be hope. Today, where else in this world, today, at 2:45 p.m., almost, are Israelis and Arabs, young people from the Balkans and from Cyprus, from Greece and Turkey, together with the representatives of their countries, all in the same room, talking about the importance of reconciliation and peace? I'll answer the question. Nowhere. Seeds offers hope. And finally, Seeds puts a premium on people. And people are the only possible resource to fight against the historical forces that have driven the Arab-Israeli conflict, driven the conflict in the Balkans, driven the conflict in Cyprus, and driven numerous other conflicts today in the international system. Seeds puts a premium on people and what individuals, I would argue, not to embarrass him, individuals like John, what people can do, what you can do. Today is an important day for all of you. I'm coming. I'm arriving home. You're leaving for home. And I would suggest to you that going home will be almost as challenging and perhaps frustrating as coming to Seeds. I know you're excited about seeing your families and your friends. But there's also another dimension. Over the last 3 weeks, you have been given a special gift. I spoke to you about this gift at camp. It is a gift that few people in this world ever receive. And what is that gift? You got to look for 3 weeks at the future. How many other people get such a gift? And now you're going home to a different set of worlds and a different set of experiences. Worlds that are locked in conflict. Worlds where perhaps you were taught to mistrust, to stereotype, and even to hate the people and the friends with whom over the last 3 weeks you've cried, you've argued, you've laughed. It will not be easy. And I would only offer you, and I know you're teenagers, so I do not expect you to take any, based on my personal experience, any of the advice that I'm about to give you. But I would urge you to keep 3 things in mind. Number 1, rely on yourselves, particularly when it comes to the issue of people. You know what you can do when you don't stereotype. You know what empathy and respect and tolerance can do in terms of breaking down barriers and walls and creating bridges. Rely on your own instincts and what you've learned over the past 3 weeks. Second, rely on each other. You are seeds, and seeds grow together. Cherish these experiences, as the Secretary has said. Use the tools of the 21st century that are available to you to overcome the physical distances that will separate some of you, the psychological distances, and the political distances. SeedsNet, the Olive Branch, reunions, phones if you can use them, the mail, the internet. Use them. Cherish these experiences. And finally, I'd say it to you, I'd say it to the Israelis, I'd say it to the Palestinians, and I will keep saying it. Never, ever lose hope. Never, ever give up. There will be people, and they're all around. I deal with them all the time. The cynics, the doubters, who will tell you it can't happen, it won't happen, it will never happen. But trust me on this. They've taken the easy road. You have chosen a path for yourselves that is far more difficult. Walk straight on that path, walk tall, and walk proud. After all, why shouldn't you? You are seeds of peace.
I think we should hear from some more seeds. Before we start, and we're still on the air, folks, I want to say a special word of thanks to the counselors, but particularly to Leslie Adelson. Leslie, where are you? Leslie, come down here. Come down here. And if Mandy could also come down here, please. Mandy, where are you? Mandy, come down here. Leslie has given her heart to this program for many years, and I hope there'll be many years to come. You want to say a couple of words?
Oh, now?
Come on.
Can't put me on the spot like that.
Put you on the spot.
I want to go first, Mandy. Guys, it has been an incredible summer. I said this to Tim yesterday. I'm incredibly proud of this session. It's my 4th year at Seeds of Peace, but there was really something special here this summer. And we went through some hard times. We had a lot of fun. And watching you all come together last night at our little dinner/dance party made me very, very proud of every one of you. So I know this is the beginning of our Seeds of Peace family, and you guys will be a part of it for a long time. Thank you for letting me be a part of it with you.
Mandy Turk will sadly be leaving Seeds at the end of this summer to start a new career, going to Harvard to begin graduate school. But I have no doubt that after a couple of years at graduate school and getting some advanced degrees, she'll come back to where real peace is being made. But I want to thank Mandy because she'll be leaving Seeds. And Mandy, you can't leave without saying a couple of words. Mandy Turk.
I think Leslie and I always have this joke, which is that when you work at Seeds of Peace, it's not like a job, it's a lifestyle choice. I want to stop working, I think about you guys, and I want to keep working forever. So I want to thank you guys for being my inspiration, and I hope that you'll always have a piece of me in your heart, and I'll always have a piece of you while I'm studying hard. So thanks a lot.
There's only one more person that needs to say something, as reluctant as he might be. But Tim, I think I want to hear from you.
John asked me to come up here. He knows I don't want to do this. I've spoken enough at camp when it was hard times, and I've spoken in many different ways. This is extremely difficult because each time I send you home, I worry about what it's going to be like for you. I can't change the world. All I can do is what I always say to you guys, that you take care of that square that you live in and do the very best you can. Stay in touch with each other. I know Bobby does so much to do that, to keep you going. To the adults who I've been a pain in your behind so many times, I appreciate many of you who stood beside me in a couple of situations that were extremely tough in this session. And I thank you so very, very much for your support, because you did do the job, as the kids said. You did stand and work hard. This year has been the hardest year for me. And I said this publicly, without Bobby and Leslie, I might not have been here. I really mean this sincerely. You all have done the job, and the counselors have stood behind you with all their hearts. And the old story I always tell you is I'm only as good as the people that I hire. And I hired some good ones. And I thank you all so very, very much.
Okay, let's move forward. Andreas. Andreas is the first speaker. Andreas, where are you? Please. If we could get our first 4 or 5 speakers, Andreas, Aisha, Kenzia, and Zanya. Did I say that right? Zana, to come up here, please. Okay. Tell us who you are and where you're from.
I am Andreas Proto-Abbas from Cyprus.
I am Aisha Maznel from North Cyprus.
We decided to make a speech together so we could give a message to all of you. It's a great honor for us standing here speaking to all of you. Today, I have given up my chance to speak directly to Mr. Colin Powell so I can speak beside my friend Isam. and so transfer the correct message to all of you. Nevertheless, it's a very bright day for me, for in this day I am building and rebuilding myself, fulfilling my character. 3 weeks in a camp, somewhere in Otisfield, changed my perspective on almost everything. I now know that this podium is not only made of wood. I now know that with some use, you can see that it's plastic, and at some places, out of wool. I know that nobody will remember the figure of the podium if the lights go off, and no one will recognize it if it is mixed among others. I now know that truth is how you make it.
We are different flowers from all over the world. We have come together and learned how to talk, share, respect, and coexist with each other. We have started building mutual understanding and trust. We have been liberated from our prejudiced feelings and thoughts that we have kept for a long time.
Even so, I'm not sure if I have done the correct thing. I have seen the enemy on the face of my dear friend Ozan. But yet, I now know that a Turk cares for me. Yes, a Turk cares for me now. It's not easy facing the enemy, nor the problem in this view. Never mind your own beliefs. We have done so.
To accomplish peace, you don't have to love your enemy, but respect him as a human being and be able to make sacrifices in the name of peace. On August the 16th, we will return to our own realities. On that day, a new breath of air will be spread globally as all of us will return home, believing in ourselves, looking forward to our common future. All we are seeking is justice for Cyprus, justice for the globe.
At this point, I would like to express my deepest concern to the Hellenic government through its ambassador upon its educational system. I do this on its personal level because I find it unacceptable for excellent Hellenic students not to know basic facts about the Cyprus problem and wider the Greco-Turkish friendship and conflict.
Finally, I would like to thank SOP for giving us a chance to build new bridges among the younger generation of Cypriots who never had the chance to meet anyone from the other side.
We would like to end our speech with a slogan that we've seen in the Holocaust Museum today. Remember the children. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Zana Zashiri, and I'm Kosovo Albanian, and I'm a member of Seeds of Peace. Seeds of Peace has surely shown that there is a voice to be heard for those who fear to speak. There are other eyes for those whose eyes are blind with hatred. There are hands that give you strength to reach the impossible. When you're a seed of peace, you always have a feeling that someone out there cares about your suffering, reminding you that you're not forgotten. Everything we do at Seeds of Peace is based on respect, building toward trust, and reconciliation. I can say that Seeds of Peace is a community without borders. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ksenia. I'm 16 years old. I come from Belgrade, Yugoslavia. When I first came to Seeds of Peace, I wasn't sure if I was brave enough to take the first step in knowing the enemy because of the hatred that I felt toward the other side. I wasn't sure if I was ready to talk or see any Albanians. But at Seeds of Peace, I got to meet my so-called enemy. I got to talk to him, eat with him, sleep in the same bunk. I had fun with him. At one point, I realized that the person that I used to define as my enemy actually became my friend, a person that I could share my feelings, opinions, and thoughts with, a person that I love and trust. Many people would rather choose the easier way. It is much easier to say to your enemy that you hear his opinion and you respect it than to try actually to share your thoughts and feelings with him and understand his. I'm thankful to Seeds of Peace for giving me the opportunity to understand my enemy and to understand that he is also a human being that has the same rights as I do and is equal with me. And if all the people would make the effort and try to understand and realize this, I think the world could count on a better future. Thank you.
Okay, Omar, Ali, Florian, and Yelena, would you please come up? We'll go in that order. Omar, Ali, Florian, and Yelena.
I'm Omar from Jordan, honored guests, fellow Seeds. For some people, Seeds of Peace might be an organization where we, as Seeds, break the ice, not knowing what we break. But as a second-year camper, I must say that this year we melted it. The step that Seeds of Peace takes is one important step, because peace, real peace, starts with the people, not the government. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ali Salim, and I'm from Egypt. This, like many of you know, is my third year being involved in this program, in SOP. And what is so unique about Seeds of Peace is that it's your only chance of being in a place where you actually meet your enemy. And not only do you meet, but you sit and talk and sleep and eat with them. And I quote John Wallach, it's all about dehumanizing the conflict. What we're doing here is that we're humanizing it. And that's when things start to change. And I like to think that your experience here, our experience, is only initiated in camp. It really starts back in the region. We all go back to our countries, to our homes, to our families and friends and our communities, to our schools, and we bring back this experience with us. And that's when change starts happening. And it will happen soon, because with all the numbers I see in front of me and all these people, these are the people that are going to bring the change to our regions. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Idan, and I'm from Kosovo Serbian community. Hello, Seeds. I have a great honor to be here and to speak on behalf of the Serbian children from Kosovo. It's my great pleasure to use this opportunity and to briefly introduce our experience and opinion before and after coming to the Seeds of Peace International Camp in May. Life of Serbian kids in Kosovo is not simple at all. They live in enclaves with very restricted freedom of movement, low quality of education, and limited pleasures which are considered as the normal in the rest of the world. Sometimes it seems that this situation will stay forever, without hope of a better future. But becoming a kid, Seeds of Peace, my children's spirit become alive again. And hope has emerged that there is a chance, and as the most important thing, there is a wish for better and brighter joint future for all kids in Kosovo. Therefore, on behalf of my delegation, I would like to give a big appreciation and gratitude first of all to Seeds of Peace organization and to all its staff, and then to the U.S. government, since you enabled us to be here to make friendship and to show to the rest of the world that children are powerful and united in one wish and message. Stand up and fight for peace. Thank you.
Hello. My name's Florian Regepi. I'm an Albanian from Macedonia. I'm not quite prepared for this, but I think I'll make it quick. About 2 hours ago, we went to the Holocaust Museum. We all did. And as we entered the Holocaust Museum, I started to look around, and I saw some pictures, different photos. And after like 5 minutes, I realized that I've seen those pictures somewhere else. Then I got reminded that I've seen those pictures 3 years ago during the war in Kosovo. And I realized that those pictures are the same. They're totally the same. The same faces, the same happenings, except for the place. The place is different. When I saw those pictures 3 years ago, I was kind of confused. I was trying to understand what do I have to say, what I have to do, so to make people understand that they have to stop with these kind of things. After a year, I went to Seeds of Peace camp. And the Seeds of Peace camp is the place where I understood what I have to say to the people to stop doing that kind of things. The Seeds of Peace camp is where the place where at home someone was your enemy, there he's your friend. He's your best friend. These people here, they taught me, they told me not to lose hope. They taught me how to stop people ruining my wishes and desires. And my desire is to make peace. So what I want from you, and what I'm going to do, is that the things that you learned in Seeds of Peace, you take them back home. And I want you to try to tell people that we don't want the same things to be repeated all the time. I see all of you. I mean, you're all my friends. I don't have necklaces for you. But I'm going to say one thing. I know one thing, that I have you all, and you have me all. And you'll never be alone. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to conclude with Ben, Markella, and Constantine, and Ozzy. If I could ask, these will be the last 3 speakers. 4. If I could ask, as a conclusion to the program today, and I know she'll be embarrassed by this, but I'm still hoping that she'll do it. If I could ask Miriam to come up. Miriam. Miriam, there's no more appropriate conclusion after they speak than to hear a few chords from your beautiful voice of the song you sang. Okay?
Hello, my name is Ben Abelson, and I'm 15 years old from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm very honored to be representing the American delegation today. I'd like to begin by sincerely thanking Secretary Powell for his dedicated work on the American Promise. This has, other than just touching every member of Seeds of Peace, it has benefited greatly, especially the members of our Portland project. So I'd like to thank him on behalf of all the Seeds. In one of the toughest coexistence sessions, I heard constantly each member saying that they were getting annoyed for their friend for not getting what they were trying to say. The emotions were flowing. People were getting very, very, very upset at one another for not getting what they were trying to say. Looking back on that session, I realized we made very little progress in those 90 minutes. 5 sessions later, we learned something that I believe might be one of the most important things any of us learn in our entire time to Seeds of Peace. We realized that you don't need to get what each person is saying, but the most important thing is to do everything possible to respect what they are saying. This might be listening to someone who supports a different soccer team than you, or listening to someone who has different views on refugee support. But in any situation, the most important thing that I believe any of us can learn at Seeds of Peace, or definitely me, is to listen to each other. And after listening, do everything possible to respect each other. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Constantina and I'm from Greece.
And my name is Markela and I am from Greece. My name is Markela and I am from Greece. This is our second time here, and first of all I would like to thank all of the Seeds of Peace staff for giving us the opportunity and the honor to be here for the second time. And to begin with, Constantina is going to present how the situation is now in Greece, and we'll keep going.
What I just wanted to say is that the place where we live, we have, I think we call Cold War. It's not a real war. It's not a ceasefire. It's just hatred and prejudice in people's hearts, and it's very hard to change it, I can tell. And this is what we learn in Seeds of Peace, to get over this prejudice. And actually, we implement these ideas in our everyday lives. And this has been a great part of Seeds of Peace, because we're a very small community. The Greek seeds are very, very limited, like very few. And I can say that I just wonder, how can you make peace with the enemy when you just can make peace with your neighbor? And that's what we try to do.
At this point, I would like to share with you an experience that I had at the coexistence session last year. During the last coexistence sessions, after having talked about history and prejudices between the two countries, we had kind of an exercise, that was that we have to pretend we had to switch sides with the Turkish friends and defend their point of view as if it was ours. This was very hard, but it actually prepared us for what we were going to face in Greece. This was not easy. We had to face our own friends. I had to talk to Greeks, and I had to defend their point of view, the Turkish point of view, and it was very hard. And this exercise really prepared us.
And one last thing, I would just like to say that, Seeds, please believe in yourselves, because it's one of you can make a difference, and working all together, you can do it. You can do it. Thank you.
And one last thing is that tomorrow we're leaving for our countries. One extra thing we're going to carry with us that is not going to be our luggage is the seeds. We're going to our countries, plant the seed in the ground, and hopefully a tree, the peace tree, is going to grow up. And it depends on us to take care of it and let it spread all over the world. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ozan from Turkey. I'm 15 years old, and this is my second year in Seeds of Peace. In this big family, I spent 2 years, and every day I'm here, I'm learning new things, and I'm having new experiences. First of all, I think I learned how to deal with issues in here. I know how to be a friend with our so-called enemies. And I learned that war brings suffer to humanity and nothing more. It can bring humanity to any solutions. If we look at the relations between Greece and Turkey and our region, we didn't have any wars for 70 years. But when we don't have peace either. Not having a war does not mean that you have peace. Peace is between, I think, two communities, between peoples living in two countries. Around me, I know people who hate Greeks. Like when they hear the word Greeks, their impression change. In their faces, they have the marks of anger. But what they hate is the mask of devil that they have painted on each other's faces. And in here, I think I learned how to take off that mask and be a friend with other side. And I think this is why Seeds of Peace is unique. Thanks.
Brilliant. All right, I want to thank, we hope, the millions of people who watch this all over the United States. We want to thank the diplomats and to the delegation leaders, most important, the Seeds. To close today, we've asked a very special Seed to sing a very special song.
John forgot to mention that we had color games right before we came here. Therefore, my voice is very hoarse, but clap anyway.
Who you are and where you're from.
Okay. My name is Mariam Bazid. I'm from Egypt. I'm going to sing Wanting Memories. I'm singing a song called Wanting Memories by Sweet Honey in the Rock. I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. You used to rock me in the cradle of your arms. You said you'd hold me till the pains of life were gone. You said you'd comfort me in times like these, and now I need you, now I need you. And you are gone. I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. Since you've gone and left me, there's been so little beauty, but I know I saw it clearly through your eyes. Now the world outside is such a cold and bitter place. Here inside I have few things that will console. And when I try to hear your voice above the storms of life, then I remember all the things that I was told. I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes. I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty in the world through my own eyes.
Thank you, Miriam. Thank you all. Thank you, Seeds, and congratulations. Oh, where's the reception? The reception is in the exhibit hall, which is what, straight ahead up the stairs? Out the left. Out the door downstairs, there will be reception, something to eat and something to drink. Thank you all.
Andy? I said?